Shabbat Shalom, everyone. My name is Daniel, and I'm the Vegan Nazarite. Well, I'm so pleased for today. We are at 52 of 53 Torah readings, and if you've been following me on the channel, you'll see that I originally had posted only 52 Torah readings, so there's actually 53. My bad for not counting them all. I kind of assumed there was 52, but there's actually 53. So there's a little bit of a disconnect between the Torah readings that I do. And so I'm going to have to go and revise all the playlist on the channel to make sure that they all match to 53. Today's Torah reading is Va-yelekh, and it's Deuteronomy 31:1 to 31:30. So I assume today is going to be a very short Torah reading. I quickly looked at the chapter before I started, and it's not going to take very long. So maybe if it is very quick, I've got two options. We can either stop it for today or continue to the next Torah reading, which Hazinu is the next one, which is basically the next chapter of Deuteronomy, 32:1 to 52. And this one actually has a prophet's reading, which is 2 Samuel 22:1 to 22:1 to 51. So it might be an extra long Torah reading for today. And we're going to end off next week with Vizot HaBaraka, which is the final Torah reading of the year. That said, Passover is on its way, starting next week. Actually, this week. Next week, because Saturday is the last day of the week. So starting tomorrow, next Wednesday, we have Passover. I hope you have a good feast day and high holiday planned for Passover and unleavened bread. And if you're just going to put this out there quickly, if you're a Christian out there and you celebrate Easter instead of Passover, I'm going to give you a challenge. Why don't you try Passover instead? Easter is totally unbiblical. There's nowhere in the Torah or Yeshua, for that matter, that says anything that you should celebrate a feast day of bunnies and chocolate and aphrodisiacs, whereas Passover has been God's ordained feast days for thousands and thousands of years. So, in line with the channel and my never-ending preaching, do what God says, not what man wants you to do. Why don't you try Passover instead of the unbiblical feast day of Easter? If it's anything like our first Passover, when my wife and I decided to do our first Passover, you're going to be blessed, and you're going to be very blessed, because God loves those who do things His way. So that's just my suggestion, as we can say, to do the things that God wants you to do. God ordained Passover in the book of Exodus, and basically instituted it as a forever command. So that's what God says. So if you're still struggling with the Torah, And you're saying, well, do we really need to do all those things or not? I'm telling you, yes, you absolutely do need to do them, because the Torah never changed in thousands of years. And we know that Yeshua celebrated the Passover and even asked his disciples to remember him at Passover by breaking bread and sharing wine. Obviously, I don't drink wine, but I will break bread uh, because uh, Yeshua is important to me, and Yeshua asks his disciples to remember him by um, as a lamb of the Most High Elohim, the one who gave his life as a ransom for the people of Israel. So, that said, let's start the Torah reading. Like I said, it might be a really short one today. I'm still on the fence. We'll see how long the reading takes. And I'll just continue to Ha'azinu, and it'll probably be a 2-in-1 today. I think that's where I'm leaning. Let's get started. Deuteronomy 31, verse 1. And Moses went and spoke all these words unto Israel, and said unto them, I am 120 years old this day. I can no more go out and come in, and the Lord has said to me, Thou shalt not go over this Jordan. The Lord thy God, he will go before thee. He will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt dispose of them. And Joshua, he shall go over before thee as the Lord hath spoken. And the Lord will do unto them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and unto their land whom he destroyed. And the Lord will deliver them up before you, and you shall do unto them according to all the commandment which I have commanded you. Be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be affrighted at them, for the Lord thy God, it is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. And Moses called unto Joshua, and said unto him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of good courage, for thou shalt go with the people into the land which the Lord had sworn unto their fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. And the Lord, it is that doeth go before thee. He will be with thee. He will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed. And Moses wrote this law and delivered it unto the priests, the sons of Levi, that bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and unto all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, at the set time of the year of release, in the feast of tabernacles, when all Israel is come to appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, thou shalt read this law before all of Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, the men and the women, the little ones, and thy stranger that is within thy gates, that they may hear and that they may learn. And fear the Lord your God, and observe to do all the words of this law, and that their children whom have not known may hear and learn to them to fear the Lord thy God, as long as you live in the land whither you go over the Jordan to possess it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thy days approacheth that thou must die. Call Joshua and present yourselves in the tent of meeting, that I may give him a charge. And Moses and Joshua went and presented themselves in the tent of meeting. And the Lord appeared in the tent of meeting in a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stood over the door of the tent. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thou art about to sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go astray. after their foreign gods of the land, which they go to be among them, and will forsake me, and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled again against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall come upon them, so that they will say in that day, are those not evils come upon us because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evil which they shall have wrought, in that they are turned unto other gods. Now therefore write ye this song for you, and teach it thou and the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. For when I shall have brought them into the land which I swore unto their fathers, flowing with milk and honey, they shall have eaten their fill, and waxen fat, and turn unto other gods, and serve them, and despise me, and broken my covenant. Then it shall come to pass, when many evils and troubles are come upon them, that this song shall testify before them as a witness. For it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their seed. For I know their imaginations, how they do even now, before I had brought them into the land which I swore. So Moses wrote the song the same day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And he gave Joshua the son of Nun a charge, and said, be strong and of good courage, for thou shalt bring the children of Israel unto the land which I swore unto them, and I will be with thee. And it shall come to pass, when Moses had made an end of writing of the words of this law in a book, until they were finished, that Moses commanded the Levites that bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, take this book of the law, and put it by the side of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there for a witness against thee. For I know thy rebellion and thy stiff neck. Behold, while I'm yet alive with you this day, you have been rebellious against the Lord, and how much more after my death? Assemble me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears, and heaven and earth to witness against them. For I know that after my death you will in any wise deal corruptly, and turn aside which the way I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the end of days, because you will do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him through the works of your hands. And Moses spoke in the ears of all the assembly of Israel the words of this song until they were finished. Well, there we have it, folks. That's the Torah reading for today. Let me go back and just do a few comments here. It's a very short Torah reading today, not even 10 minutes. Okay, so the first verse I have highlighted today is Deuteronomy 31, 2. And he said unto them, I am 120 years old. I can no more go out and in. And the Lord had said unto me, thou shalt not go over the Lord thy God. He will go over thee. So Moses was the one who God gave the law to. Now, we know that God uses Moses through all the signs and wonders he did, taking the Israelites out of Egypt. But even that wasn't enough for him to be, how can I say that? To be absolved from not following God himself. when Moses struck the rock, and the water gushed out, he basically went against God, and for that, Moses is basically banished from the promised land. Even though he took the Israelites there, he's not allowed to go himself. Let that be a reminder to everybody out there that God rules with a rod of iron. He's tough, and if your God is easy and smooth and lets you do whatever you want, that is not the God of Isaac, Jacob, and Abraham. That's another God, or we could say something different than the Most High Elohim, because God does not spare, not even his own people, from discipline, not even the ones that are closest to him. So just a reminder that if your God is easy, if your God is the anyway God, well, you're probably off the straight and narrow path. Just a reminder that God rules with a rod of the iron. And when we look in the past, all the things that happened to the Moses, Yeshua, nailed to a tree, Moses forbidden to enter the promised land, whatever else the Israelite elites did to the other prophets, God, if your God is too easy, I'm just thinking of some of the prophets here. Ezekiel had to lie on his side for, I don't know, I think almost a year, a few hundred days anyways, for the sins of Judah and Israel. I mean, if God doesn't make you do things that are not comfortable, you're probably not following the right God. Enough of that. Be strong. Next one I have is verse 6. Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, it is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Well, that's basically how the book of Joshua starts, where God reminds Joshua that he is with him. So God can be very elusive at times, and you might even think he's not there, but he is there. So even at times when you think you're on your own and he's there. And he promises to his people that he will not forsake thee and the ones that honor him by doing his commands. Next one I have is verse 16. Behold, thou art about to sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up, go astray after the foreign gods of the land, whither they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant, which I have made with them. So here God himself prophesies to Moses. Just want to make sure you can see me properly. God himself prophesies to Moses to tell him that no matter what signs and wonders that God showed them, they're going to abandon him. So if you are comfortable, we could say, in the figurative, we could say fat and lazy. When people become fat and lazy, and I don't mean this in the physical sense, I mean in the sense that life is too easy. Don't forget the Most High, because he's the one that made your life easy. But we find out that no matter what God did, the Israelites ended up abandoning him anyways, which I consider very sad in a way, because we really need to. The trend of the humans is basically, when we are good and comfortable, we forget God, and in our intense struggles, we can say we go back to Him. We're basically, in general, the human race uses God as a crutch, and when life is good, they really kind of let Him go, and when suddenly they're in some kind of peril, then they remember Him. Well, my advice for that is basically be thankful to God, uh, everything you do, and with all the blessings that He gives us, because when we are blessed, that's when we need to give thanks, make sure we do our tithes, make sure that we do our everything that we can to be thankful and to remain thankful that God has blessed us in our lives. Okay, so it's 11:22. I think I'm going to continue. I don't have any more highlights. So we're going to go with the Song of Moses, which is Deuteronomy 32, that God asks him to, how can I say that? To remind the Israelites that they're going to go astray, and to remind them to keep doing the things that God told them to do. So let's do that. So this new Torah reading is Ha'azinu, and it's going to be the Song of Moses, which is Deuteronomy 31:1 to 52, and the prophet is going to be 2 Samuel 22:1 to 51. Give ear, ye heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender grass, and as the shower is upon the herb. For I will proclaim the name of the Lord. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. The rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are justice, a God of faithfulness and without iniquity. Just and right is he. Is corruption his? No. His children's is the blemish, a generation crooked and perverse. Do ye thus requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise? Is he not thy father that hath gotten thee? Hath he not made thee and established thee? Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will declare unto thee, thine elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High gave to the nations, when he separated the children of men, he set the borders of people according to the number of the children of Israel. The portion of the Lord is his people. Jacob, the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land and in the waste, a howling wilderness. He compassed him about. He cared for him. He kept him as the apple of his eye, as an eagle stirs up her nest, hovereth over her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on pinions. The Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, and he did eat the fruitage of the field, and he made him suck honey out of the crag, and oil out of the flinty rock, curd of kine, and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs and rams in the breed of Bashan, and he goats, with the kidney fat of wheat, and the blood of the grape. Thou drank it foaming wine. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou didst wax fat, thou didst grow thick, and thou didst become gross, and he forsook God who made him, and contempted the rock of his salvation. They roused him to jealousy with strange gods. With abomination did they provoke him. They sacrifice unto demons, no gods. Gods that they knew not, new gods that came up of late, which your father dreaded not. Of the rock that begot thee, thou was unmindful, and thou didst forget the God bore thee. And the Lord saw and spurned because of the provoking of his sons and daughter. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very froward generation, children in whom there is no faithfulness. They have roused me to jealousy with a no God. They have provoked me with their vanities. I will rouse them to jealousy with a no people. I will provoke them with a vile nation, for fire is kindled in my nostril, and burneth unto the depths of the netherworld, and devoureth the ear with her produce, and setteth ablaze the foundation of the mountains. I will heap evils upon them, I will spend my arrows upon them, the wasting of hunger, and the devouring of the fiery bull, and bitter destruction, and the teeth of beasts I will send upon them, with the venom of the crawling things of the dust. Without shall the sword bereave, and in the chambers terror, slaying both young man and virgin. The suckling with the man of gray hairs. I thought I would make an end of them. I would have made their memory cease from among men, where it were not that I dreaded the enemy's provocation, lest their adversaries should misdeem, lest they should say, our hand is exalted, and not the Lord hath wrought all upon this. For they are a nation vain of counsel, and there is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern in their latter end, how should one chase 1,000, and two to put 10,000 to a flight, except their rock had given them over, and the Lord had delivered them up. For their rock is not our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is the vine of Sodom, and the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the venom of serpents, and the cruel poison of asps. Is this not laid up in store with me, sealed in my treasuries? Vengeance is mine, I will recompense. Against the time when their foot shall slip, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that are to come upon them shall make haste. For the Lord will judge his people and repent himself for his servants, when he has seen their stay is gone, and when there is none remaining, shut up or left at large. And it is said, where are their gods, the rock in whom they trusted, whom did eat the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offering? Let him rise up and help you. Let him be your protection. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, I make alive. I have wounded, and I heal, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and say, as I live forever, if I whet my glittering sword and my hand take hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my adversaries, and I will recompense them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh with the blood of the slain and the captives. For the long-haired heads from the long-haired heads of the enemy. Sing aloud, O ye nations of his people, for he doeth avenge the blood of his servant, and doeth render vengeance unto his adversaries, and doeth make expiation for the land of his people. And Moses came and spoke all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Hoshea, the son of Nun. And when Moses made an end of speaking all these words to all Israel, he said unto them, Set your hearts unto all the words wherewith I testify against you this day, that you may charge your children therewith to observe to do all the words of this law. For it is no vain thing for you, because it is your life, and through this thing you shall prolong your days upon the land, whither you go over to possess it. And the Lord spoke unto Moses that selfsame day, saying, Get thee up into the mountain of Abarim, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho. And behold, the land of Canaan, which I have given unto the children of Israel for possession. And die in the mount whither thou goest up, and be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor, and he was gathered unto his people. Because you trespassed against me in the midst of the children of Israel, at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Israel. For thou shalt see the land afar off, but shalt not go thither. But shall not go off thither into the land which I give the children of Israel. Okay, well, there we have, folks. A few more highlights I have here. Let's start with verse 6 of Deuteronomy 32. Do ye thus requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise? Is he not thy father that has gotten thee? Hath he not made thee and established thee? So here we see again, Yeshua calls God Father, and I always thought that Yeshua was the first one to come up with that, but no, here it is right in the Torah, in the Song of Moses. Moses calls God the Father of the Israelites, because he made thee and established thee. So he took the people, took them out of Egypt, and established them in the land. The next one I have is verse 9. For the portion of the Lord is his people. What's God's treasure? Well, God has everything, basically. Heaven is his throne, and the earth is his footstool. So what's his greatest treasure? Well, God's greatest treasure is the people. God doesn't need gold. He doesn't need silver. He's probably the one who ultimately created it all. Probably. He did create it all. So the Lord's portion is his people. Now, that said, if you accept the Most High as your Elohim, do what God commands. That's all he asks. And it's not that hard that we can't do it. Even the lost soul like me, an ex-Catholic, with the help of the Spirit, with the help of the written word, especially the Torah, with the help of the teachings of the Messiah, you can be part of God's people also. Then verse 12, I have, the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him. So again, we read that it was the Most High alone that led Israel, or the Israelites, to literally save them. And the Torah even goes so far as to say, and there was no strange God with him. So God doesn't need emissaries. He doesn't need other gods. He doesn't need, you could say that the angels are messengers and prophets are also the messengers, but there is no other God. So if your religion mixes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob with other deities, as a Catholic, I'll just go with the saints, praying to saints or praying to other deities. Well, the Torah says the opposite. It says that God alone is the one who saves Israel. A little bit of food for thought. And in verse 16, 17, they roused him to jealousy with strange gods, with abominations did they provoke him. They sacrificed unto demons, no gods. So, even after all they knew, and God manifested himself in the pillar of cloud and the pillar of smoke, the pillar of fire and the pillar of smoke, it didn't take long. The Israelites went astray. And next one I have is verse 21. They have roused me to jealousy with a no God. They have provoked me with their vanities, and I will rouse them to jealousy with a no people. I will provoke them with a vile nation, for a fire is kindled in my nostrils, and burneth to the depths of the netherworld. So here we read the Song of Moses, and basically God says the Israelites will be roused to jealousy with a no people. So because the Israelites knew God, but they literally abandoned him, God stirs the Israelites with jealousy with a no people. Here's a prophecy that basically says that God will basically use, we could say, non-Jews or non-Israelites to provoke the Jews who left God's path, we could say. And personally, I'm glad of this prophecy, because that basically made the way for me and many other people who basically were not born into the Israelites, but for some reason, well, we read it right here, God uses people, we could say, with an empty cup, and fills them with his knowledge and with his teachings, and these will end up being stir up jealousy within Israel. So I'm so glad that God is so, we can say, obstinate that he says, oh, yeah, you don't want to go my way? I'm going to choose some other people who are not part of your people to teach you guys. So how does he make into jealousy? Well, God will use some non-Jews, we could say, and give them the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. And if you ever read the book of Acts, well, how can I say that? That prophecy was fulfilled in the book of Acts, where God, yes, converts a lot of Israelites back to the law, but also sends his Spirit onto a bunch of people who may or may not have any ties to Israel. So making room for the people of the nations to actually do the works of the Most High. Next one I have is verse 28. For there are a nation void of counsel, and there is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern their latter end. How should one chase 1,000 and put an end to 10,000 to flight, except the rock had given them over and the Lord had delivered them up? So God basically said that the Israelites don't know what they're doing, and they don't understand the works of the Most High, because if they would see what God does in their life and changes them for the better. If you're often wonder how certain Jewish people read these things every year, if they read the Torah, and why are they not waking up? We could ask. I don't know. I don't have just throwing this out there. I don't have a solution, but it's why do they not see the works of the Most High in their life? Next one I have is verse 38. So 37, 38, and it is said, where are their gods, the rock in whom they trusted, whom did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their drink? Let him rise up and help you. Let him be your protection. So God basically abandons the Israelites when they go against his law, and then says, well, go on to your other gods to serve you, because I'm not helping you guys anymore. You guys are not honoring me by, we could say, drink the wine of their drink. So basically they do sacrifices, but they drink of their own offerings and they eat of the fat of their sacrifices. And we know in the Torah that the fat belongs to God. It's the sweet smell that was part of the tabernacle all the time. And God says, let him be your protection. So in other words, you don't want to follow me. You don't want to listen to anything I say. So let your own gods that you made. And then he reasserts in verse 39, see now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, I make alive, I wounded, and I heal. So there is no other Elohim but the Most High Elohim. No one can deliver out of his hands. Without him. Okay, next one I have is verse 46. He said unto them, set, and this is Moses speaking after he sings his song. He said unto them, set your heart unto them all the words wherewith I testify against you this day, that you may charge your children to observe to do all the words of this law. So how does Moses end? This is a man who's just about to die, who basically is asking his own brothers and sisters that you may charge your children therewith to observe and do all the words. And what's his final request, we could say, to his own people? It's do the words of the law. So it makes no sense to me in all these Christian churches that say, oh, we don't have to do the law anymore. It's all abandoned. Oh, that was all for the Jews. Well, the last words of Moses are basically to observe the words of the law. So how can these Christian teachers go out and say the things they say when the Torah and Moses himself says the complete opposite? And he continues in verse 47, for it is no vain thing for you, because it is your life, and through this thing you shall prolong your days upon the land whither you go over the Jordan and possession. The law is a blessing, people. It's not a curse. It's a blessing. If you do the law, you shall prolong your days upon the land. The last one I have is verse 51. Because you trespassed me in the midst of the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Israel. For thou shalt see the land afar off, where you shall not go thither into the land which I give the children of Israel. So in verse 51, we actually read God's reason to Moses for keeping him out of the promised land. And it's because Moses trespassed against God at the waters of Meribah Kadesh by hitting the rock. So there we have it, folks. That's a Torah reading for today and my little commentary. Let's go to the prophet. And the prophet today is 2 Samuel 22, 1 to 51. So give me a second. Go to the bookmarks. And Samuel, 2 Samuel 22. Close that. Two Samuel 22, 1 to 51. The burden concerning the valley of vision. Oh, sorry, this is Isaiah. Yeah. Second Samuel 22. We're going to be reading 22, 1 to 51. And David spoke unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer, the God whom is my rock, in him I take refuge, my shield, my horn of salvation, my high tower, and my refuge. My Savior, thou savest me from violence. Praised, I cry, is the Lord, and I am saved from my enemies. For the waves of death compassed me, the floods of Belial assailed me, the cords of Sheol surrounded me, the snares of death confronted me. In my distress I called upon the Lord. I called unto my God, and unto his temple he heard my voice, and my cry did enter into his ear. Then the earth did shake and quake. The foundations of the heaven did tremble. They were shaken because he was wroth. Smoke arose in his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth did devour. Coals flamed from him. He bowed the heavens also, and he came down, and thick darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly. He was seen upon the wings of the wind, and he made darkness pavilions about him. Gatherings of water, thick clouds of the skies, and the brightness before him, coals of fire flamed forth. The Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High gave forth his voice. And he sent out arrows and scattered them. Lightning discomfited them. And the channels of the sea appeared. The foundations of the world were laid bare by the rebuke of the Lord at the blast of the breath of his nostril. He sent from on high, he took me, drew me out many waters, delivered me from my enemies most strong, from them that hated me, for they were too mighty for me. They confronted me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was a stay unto me. He brought forth also in a large place. He brought me forth also in a large place. He delivered me because he hath delighted me. The Lord rewarded me according to all my righteousness. According to the cleanliness of my hands, he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and I have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his ordinances were before me, and his statutes I did not depart from them. And I was single-hearted towards him, and I kept from my iniquity. Therefore hath the Lord recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanliness in his eyes. With the merciful thou doest show thyself merciful. With the upright man thou doest show thyself upright. With the pure thou doest show thyself pure, and with the crooked thou doest show thyself stubble. And all the afflicted people thou doest save. But thine eyes are upon the haughty, that thou mayest humble them. For thou art my lamp, O Lord, and the Lord doeth lighten my darkness. For by thee I run upon a troop. By my God do I scale a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The words of the Lord is tried. He is a shield unto all them that take refuge in him. For who is God, save the Lord? And who is a rock, save our God? The God who is my strong fortress, and who letteth my way go forth straight, who maketh my feet like hinds, and who settled me upon my high places, who traineth my hands for war, so that my arms do bend a bow of brass. Thou hast also given me thy shield of salvation, and thy condescension hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, and my feet have not slipped. I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them. Neither did I turn my back till they were consumed. And I have consumed them and smitten them through, that they cannot arise. They are fallen under my feet. For thou hast guarded me with the strength unto battle. Thou hast subdued under me those that rose up against me. Thou hast also made my enemies to turn their backs on me. Them that hate me, that I might cut them off. They looked, but there was none to save. Even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Then I did beat them small as the dust of the earth. I did stamp them as the mire of the streets, did tread them down. Thou hast delivered me from the contentions of my people. Thou hast kept me to the head of the nation. to be the head of the nations. A people whom I have not known serve me. The sons of the stranger dwindle away before me. As soon as they hear of me, they obey me. The sons of the stranger fade away, and the halting out of their closed places. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be my God, the rock of my salvation. Even the God that executed vengeance for me, and bringeth down people under me, and that bringeth me forth from my enemies. Thou lifted me up above them that rise up against me. Thou deliverest me from the violent man. Therefore, I will give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the nations, and will praise unto thy name. A tower of salvation is he to his king, and showeth mercy to his anointed, to David and to his seed forevermore. Well, amen to that. So in the Torah reading, we actually read kind of a curse on the Israelite people from Moses for going astray. But quite in the opposite, in 2 Samuel, we read that David actually bestows blessing upon blessing upon blessing to the Most High for saving him, for taking care of him, for basically doing exactly what God promised the Israelites he would do if we hold on to his commands. So again, I'm gonna do this quick. There's 3 minutes left on the hour. So all these great blessings, and we read in verse 22 that David, for I have kept the ways of the Lord, and I have not wickedly departed from my God. So David is basically praising the Lord and giving him thanks. As we could say, a reward. God does what he does and blesses him for David not going astray from the law and the prophets. Got a little bit of a blast of the spirit there. I apologize for that, a little bit of tears, but if the words of the Most High don't move you, there's something wrong, because they should go right through your heart. Next one I have is verse 31. As for God, his way is perfect. That's the Torah, folks. God's way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a shield unto them that take refuge in him. For who is God save the Lord? And there we go. That's all I have for today. I want to thank everyone for listening. Let me look at the chat. I don't have anything on chat today. On an end, though, last week I had a chat from a member, we could say, and his name was Yeshua is vegan or something to that effect. Well, I actually thought about that, and I just want to, in the, how can I say that? In the attempt to get away from disinformation on this channel, with Passover coming up, Yeshua did live in the days of the temple, Herod's temple, and Yeshua did. We know for a fact that he did do the Passover, and the Passover commands in the Torah that we are to eat of the Passover lamb. Now, we can't do this today because there's no Levites to do the offering to sacrifice the lamb. So, but one thing is for sure, Yeshua was not vegan, because he would have been commanded by the Torah to eat of the Passover meal at least once a year. So if he would not eat of the Passover meal, he would have been cast out of Israel. So to Jesus, well, that user that called himself Jesus is vegan, I'm sorry, my friend, but I cannot, for the life of me, extend that Yeshua was vegan. Yeshua did live in the days of the temple, and in the accounts of Yeshua, we know that he eats of the Passover meal, because he is actually dipping bread with Judas, who betrays him. So that was definitely unleavened bread, and they would have eaten of the Passover lamb at that supper. Catholics call it the Last Supper, but it's actually the Passover lamb supper, if you read the account. So I'm not trying to make enemies, but I just want to say out there that Yeshua was definitely not vegan. Well, not in the way that we are today, which vegan is defined as a man or a woman who does not eat any animal products. Well, if Yeshua ate of the Passover meal, and the accounts definitely say that he did, even his disciples asked him, where are we going to eat the Passover? Well, the Passover commands us to eat the lamb roasted over fire. So there we go. Yeshua was not a vegan, as we know. Did he only eat meat certain parts of the year as commanded by the Torah? I don't know. We know that Yeshua multiplied the fish and the bread a couple of times, taking care of his followers. So did he actually eat of the fish or not? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. As far as I know, the account doesn't actually say if Yeshua ate of the fish and the bread that he multiplied. But one thing is for sure, Yeshua as a Messiah would have had honored the law from start to finish, and I'm talking about the Mosaic law, of course. So, my opinion, Yeshua was not vegan. And I call myself the vegan Nazarite, and yes, I am mostly vegan. I do cheat every now and then, usually with dairy products. But I am an Israelite first and a vegan second. So if ever the day comes that the temple is rebuilt and we are to eat and do sacrificial offering of the Passover lamb, I will have also to eat of the Passover lamb exactly as commanded in the Torah. So that said, I want to be state for the record. My opinion is basically that Yeshua was not vegan. The Torah says it's permissible for Israelites to eat of the clean animals, and we're talking about goats, sheep, ox, or cows, and of the birds. Well, I know for a fact that the doves and the pigeons are considered clean, as are the quails that are described in the book of Exodus. So, unfortunately, veganism is not in the Torah. And the only way that I can justify being a vegan and a Nazarite is that there is no temple to this day. So if there's no temple, I cannot sacrifice of the Passover lamb and partake of it. And there's also in Genesis where before the flood, men and women are commanded to eat plants, grains, and those kinds of foods. It's only after the flood that animals are allowed to consume themselves. And we also see the vision of Isaiah where the animals no longer consume themselves. So by becoming vegan, I'm basically choosing to go back to the Genesis and to go look forward to the future when we don't have to eat. Consume animals. So yes, I'm the vegan Nazarite. Was Yeshua a vegan? I'd say probably not. Actually, 100% he wasn't. If he followed the Torah, he had to at least eat of the Passover meal, a certain part. And I believe even as a Nazarite, in the exit sacrifices, the Kohen or the priest actually gives a portion of the sacrifice back to the Nazarite. And I can only think that that's for the Nazarite to consume. So, again, I'm an Israelite first and a vegan second. I will not go against the Torah by any means, even though I see creation started vegan and it's going to end vegan, but we're in this middle part of history of Israel, and God definitely says that through the law of Moses that some animals are clean and allowed to consume. With that said, on an extra long Torah reading today, we actually did two Torah readings. We did Va-yelekh and we did Ha-azinu. My name's Daniel. I hope you have a wonderful Passover, which is coming up this week. May the Most High bless you in all his ways, commands, ordinances, because by following God's law, we are blessed. That's always been the thing. I don't understand how these other religions use Yeshua as their deity, so to speak, and then basically abandon the Torah. That's not the way it goes, not in my opinion. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Daniel, and I'm the Vegan Nazarite. May you have a blessed and happy Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. God willing, we'll be back next week with the last Torah reading of the year. And kind of makes me full of gladness that I've been able to be a good teacher of the law and teach the law, the written law, exactly as it's been written, exactly translated in English. So hopefully one day I'll be able to do it in Hebrew also. Signing off, Shabbat Shalom. May you have a wonderful Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread.